Well, hello there and welcome to this exciting and fresh video on the channel in VR. That's right, today we are going to watch Space Explorers, a cinematic VR series about the new age of space exploration. You will witness at first hand the lives of veteran and novice NASA astronauts as they navigate the trials and sacrifices of their training and missions. We will explore the dynamics and camaraderie of space programs around the world and the collaboration between the public and private space agencies, and discover the late advancements and plans for deep space exploration. Space Explorers will shine a light on mankind's most ambitious journey to understand our planet, our galaxy, our universe, and our origins. And that sounds like a true adventure to me. I can't wait to check this one out. So yeah, let's jump into the metaverse then and have some fun. Of course, let's go!
There was a time, not so long ago, when the moon seemed impossibly far away. The United States and the Soviet Union were in a race to get there first. In 1959, the Soviets made contact with an unmanned probe that returned with photographs of a hazy, barren expanse. The Americans were determined to see it for themselves. In 1961, John F. Kennedy told Congress, "No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind."
Whoa.
Eager to top their Soviet rivals, the Americans designed the Saturn V, a rocket the height of a 36-story building that weighed 130 tons and was fitted with 3 million parts. On July 20th, 1969, powered by the rocket, 3 American astronauts aboard a spacecraft called the Apollo 11 landed on the moon. In the years since then, competition has given way to cooperation. For the last 18 years, astronauts from 18 different countries have been living at the International Space Station. Younger astronauts are coming of age in a new era of global partnership. When they imagine their futures, they dream of Mars and deep space. And as they train for missions, they do so knowing the stakes have never been higher.
Wow. Space Explorers. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm in space. Amazing. A new dawn. Oh yes. Bring it on.
In the biggest picture, deep space exploration is our future, because someday either we will have destroyed the Earth or the sun will blow up. So our future as a human race is out there in the universe. The contributions we make are small steps along the way in a continuum, into the very distant future.
That's cute. That looks awesome.
When I started out at NASA, we were right in the middle of this shuttle program, and it was super.
Oh, I'm inside.
All the missions were different. We were preparing to build the space station. I was working on the equipment and the EVA techniques to build the space station. We were flying the shuttle sometimes 6 or 8 times a year, so it's really fast-paced, heads down, no time for anything else but getting the job done. And that was tremendously exciting, and I feel blessed to have been part of that. When the shuttle went away, we have space station, but the pace slowed down. We weren't flying as many crew members. We do 2 or 3 missions a year. They're longer missions. now, as we start looking forward to deep space exploration, the pace of development is picking up. The vision of getting to Mars is becoming real. I mean, we're starting to materialize some of the key technology elements that were just ideas in people's minds.
This is really interesting so far.
By the time I had worked 6 years at the CIA as an analyst, a friend of mine gave me a call and he said, you know, we're accepting applications for the astronaut corps. You may want to think about applying. You know, I was a complete outsider to NASA. And when I got the call from Peggy Whitson, it was a very emotional call only because I never dreamed that I would have been one of the 9 Americans that the U.S. selected that year.
We'll go ahead and pull the nose up. We'll look for 200 knots when we begin our roll at about 10 degrees nose high. Roll inverted and begin our pull, okay? Remember, you're trying to get a lot of that turn out of the way right at the beginning while you have that relatively low airspeed on the aircraft. And then once the airspeed builds, once you see the green donut illuminate on the AOA indexer, just pulling towards the green donut, straight back to the zipper. Put your head out the top of the canopy so you're kind of pulling straight back, exactly. And then just, once you pick up the horizon, keep the wings level with the horizon and just recover back to level flight.
Whoa! Oh, this is crazy!
So when you first arrive at NASA and you're selected, one of the things they have you do is learn how to fly the T-38 jet. We're in the back seat. We have a helmet on, we have a face mask on, a harness, and it's a very small, tight spot in the back seat. That is very similar to being in the spacewalk suit. The spacewalk suit is your ship, and it's just you in that ship, and that's your life support system. So as a backseater, we get to hone and sharpen every skill that we need in order to fly in space.
This is fantastic. This is so, I don't know what to say. It's stunning.
Expeditions. And so that meant that we had to do spacewalk training, which in the past not everyone got the chance to do, because on shuttles, if your role was to do robotics, that's all you practice. If your role was to do the spacewalks, to build the space station, that's what you did. But now in this new era, when you come in, you have to do all the spacewalk training, all the robotics training, to do the Russian language training and requirements. You have to do all the T-38 stuff as usual, all the ISS systems as well we had to learn.
Oh, what is going on over here?
We started as a bunch of military test pilots when they were building and testing the first spacecraft that we ever launched in the US. But now we still have those same kind of backgrounds, but we have a much more diverse pool. So my class, there are 8 people in the 21st class of astronauts. We have 4 women, 4 men, 6 military, 2 civilians, a wide array of backgrounds ranging from medical doctors, flight test engineers, electrical engineers, physicians, and me as a scientist.
Oh, they are practicing on the water, of course. Makes total sense.
Spaceflight exploration is important, really just because of this driving force in my life that has been to explore and to push further and to ask questions and to learn more about nature and the world around us. And that has driven me from the time that I was a kid and being interested in biology to the types of experiments that I pursued in extreme animal physiology as a scientist, and now where I'll really be the extreme animal in the extreme environment.
Oh my. Oh, this must be intense. This must be...
One of the things that we use for astronaut training here is analog training. And if you want to replicate various aspects or try to replicate a whole mission in space, how do you do that on the ground? We can't replicate everything. It's sort of a difficult problem to solve. So what we do is try to find isolated or extreme environments that mimic a lot of those conditions of isolation, working in a small environment with a small group of people in an intense setting.
It's so cool that I can have a sneak peek of what's going on behind the scenes at NASA.
From the time that we come in as astronaut candidates, we start learning about the International Space Station systems. So when we're up there on the space station, we have to be experts really in everything. We have to be able to go for the spacewalk, come inside, do the science, fix the toilet when it breaks, and believe me, it breaks a lot, change the light bulb, you know, deal with all of the systems that are up there, the power
Good to
systems,
know.
the life support systems, the engineering block diagrams behind each system and how we will interface with those to operate them during our mission, and then most importantly, you know, what to do when something goes wrong with them.
This must be a tough job. I mean,
the International Space Station has 6 people on it, so it's a mix of all of our partners, NASA astronauts, Russian cosmonauts, and then also Canadian, Japanese, and European astronauts. So at any one time, you have a mix of all those people up there, and it's really this amazing scientific world-class laboratory up there. We're doing all kinds of science.
Whoa.
We're doing everything toward understanding how the human body is affected by spaceflight and radiation and the whole environment, what that means for us in extending our time on the space station, but also beyond that for longer duration missions.
hey guys, what's up? It's me.
So NASA is working on the Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft to go beyond low Earth orbit, then step out even further on that path to getting to another planet like Mars.
Oh,
It's going to be the most powerful rocket system ever built. So you have a spacecraft that sits on top of the rocket stack, and that's the Orion spacecraft. It was egress training for the Orion spacecraft today. And we started off here in the Nutribuoyancy Lab. The water is the sea state of 0, you know, the water is glassy. This gives us an ability to understand what it's gonna be like when humans come back from somewhere beyond low Earth orbit off the coast of San Diego.
this is really, really interesting.
Would I go to Mars? Absolutely, absolutely. Don't have to think about it. It's why I signed up to do this. And I was, for almost 20 years prior to this, working in the military, and you know, I was going other places so that other people's family members could come back home, and that was something that I signed up for. And now the deployments that we do as astronauts are going wherever the agency wants us, whether it's to the space station for 6 months or a year, or around the moon for 2 to 3 weeks, or eventually on to Mars. I'm ready to go wherever the agency needs me to go.
The excitement is real. Can I join? I want to go to Mars. Sounds epic.
I think people want to see NASA continue to push boundaries, to know where the boundaries are and to safely expand the boundaries. At this time, humans have been to orbit around the moon. That's about as far as humankind has been in our solar system. The farthest a human being has been from here is about 240,000 miles. And at some point, people want to know that humans have gone one step further than that. And NASA is working to make that a reality, to go farther and faster than humans have ever gone before, because that's what it's going to take to get to the next point in our solar system.
Impressive. Most impressive.
So right now we have a path to Mars that starts with what we call phase 0, which is the space station, and we're doing year-long missions, and all that's important because that simulates basically the trip to Mars, which will be about 9 months.
It's the
We're
red
now
planet.
getting ready to enter phase 1, where we actually go beyond low Earth orbit and build this deep space gateway. And the deep space gateway will be like a small space station where we do some experiments to understand the environment of deep space, but more than that, it's a place to aggregate the Mars transfer vehicle that we will eventually take to Mars. When we go to Mars, hopefully in 2033, the first mission will not land on Mars, more than likely, because it's very difficult to do the entry, descent, and landing to actually get down onto the surface of Mars. So we'll either go to Mars orbit or we'll go to Phobos, the moon of Mars, It's only 9,000 kilometers from the surface of Mars. And then when we get to Mars, every day is going to be fascinating. You'll be seeing things that humans never saw before. And, you know, I can't imagine that you're not going to be on adrenaline the full time you're there. And then on the way home, you're going to have to make sure you don't let your guard down because you got to get home safely, and that's 9 more months. So, you know, I've done some long subsea missions and offshore deployments and so forth, and the way you kind of do it is you set the distant goal, and then you take it one day at a time, and then you find the days pass and the days pass, and then you're halfway there, and then it's like, okay, we're halfway there, and now you get home. And so you kind of set these mental milestones as you break the mission into different phases. And you know, we're going to Mars. I mean, what's not to like about that? And I guarantee you that, you know, any one of us in the astronauts would go in a nanosecond.
Yeah, that must be a long adventure though. Whew. Huge respect for astronauts. I mean, this is
Power's on. I'm in translational. I'm going to rotational. Okay, copy. EV1, I'm above the station, zenith of the station. Can you see me? Okay,
a long but beautiful adventure. An epic journey.
Okay, I'm moving starboard, but I'm moving in towards the station. I'm passing one of the antennas now, moving towards the truck.
Imagine being the first one
Slowing down.
on Mars.
Copy that. I'm reaching out to grab a handrail right now.
Oh, they are using VR.
Got it.
Cool beans.
Okay. Caught it. Okay.
Now we are all waiting for our first missions, and we're continuing to train. I am looking in my career right now at a realistic mission, which will be to go to the International Space Station. But of course it is extremely exciting to start thinking further beyond that, especially when we start thinking about these Orion test missions and what they will lead up to. It's actually an incredibly exciting time to be an astronaut.
I think the first mission is gonna be so busy and such a new experience, it's gonna fly by, and before you know it, you'll be on the backside of it and telling people how great it was.
In my mind, the space program is about being the best that you can be, because you need to be the best you can be to pull off these things successfully. And we need to keep going, and whether we colonize Mars or whether we start looking at new transportation systems that take us deeper into space, fast forward that through generations and generations and generations, and you know, we're going to have humans living on other planets within the universe, because that's our future.
Hi, Mom. And that's it. That's where it ends. This is what I'm talking about. Storytelling in VR is next level. It really is. Shout out to all these hardworking people. It was a pleasure hearing all of these stories from those passionate astronauts, engineers, and other employees from NASA. It's mind-blowing if you think about it. They want to go to Mars, and seriously, if you are the first one arriving at Mars, that must be a huge honor. So yeah, anyway, now it's time to jump to the outro and end this video. There is another chapter, but it's not out yet, okay? So if you really want to see more, then slam a like on this video, show your support, and before you know it, I will be playing the next chapter as well. So yeah, now it's time to jump to the outro and end this video. Let's go! Wow, so that was the first chapter of the Space Explorer series. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. If you did, then you know what to do. Also, let me know in the comments below what I should play next. That would be nice. It's going to be super handy actually, so I can just proceed doing what I'm doing on YouTube. I just need to have some input from time to time to know what you guys want to see and what you don't want to see. So yeah, go for it. Anyways, I gotta say, the work of Felix and Paul rarely disappoints. After watching the UB, an introduction to virtual reality, and through the ages I had high expectations for Space Explorers. In the end, my predictions were right once again. I love the way they are telling this particular story in VR. Every scene you enter perfectly matches with where you are looking at. This is because of the music and the voiceovers guiding you through the storyline. It's genius. It's definitely an experience, an adventure to flow through space, be underwater, and sit next to a real astronaut. Every scene between the interviews is unique in its own way. Watching them for 20 minutes never feels dull and stays fresh until the very last end. The quality of this 360 was super nice as well. From storytelling to filmmaking, Felix and Paul always pay attention to detail. I have to say, Space Explorers is a true pleasure for the eyes. I was immersed and felt the excitement for going to Mars, and that's a magical thing that only VR can really do. If you are interested in checking it out yourselves as well, then you can. It's now available on Oculus Home and can be played with the Rift and also the Go. Do keep in mind that this is an Oculus exclusive. And that's about it for now. I want to thank you all for watching once again, and now it's time for me to sign off, and as I always say, and I see you guys next time. See you in the metaverse. Bye bye to infinity and beyond. Oh yes. Woo.